Let me tell you something most people don't realize. A woman can want you with every fiber of her being. She can think about you late at night, smile when your name pops up on her screen, and still never say a word. Not because she's playing games, not because she's uninterested, but because fear is louder than desire. So today, let's talk about what that fear really looks like, because if you don't understand it, you might just walk away from someone who actually wants you the most. When a woman is interested in a man, truly interested, it's not always something you'll see on the surface. You might not hear it in words. You might not get the text message or the flirty emoji, but deep within her, she's watching, feeling, observing, and holding back. Why? Because vulnerability is not easy. It's not as simple as saying, "Hey, I like you." For a woman, vulnerability is opening up her inner world, exposing the softest, most delicate parts of herself, and inviting someone in without knowing if they'll protect it or tear it apart. Many women have been taught, either directly or through experience, that love comes with risk, that being open too soon can lead to pain. So when she feels something real, when she senses a genuine connection, it actually terrifies her more than the casual ones, because this time it could matter. And if it matters, then losing it would hurt. She doesn't want to be the only one out there on that emotional limb. She wants reassurance. She wants to know that if she opens that door, you're not going to walk away and leave her exposed. This fear of vulnerability often comes from past experiences, times when she gave her all and got taken for granted, times when she shared her deepest thoughts, and they were thrown back in her face. So now, even though her heart may be leaning in your direction, her mind is saying, be careful. That caution isn't about being dramatic or difficult. It's about survival, emotional survival. She's had to pick up the pieces before, sometimes quietly, sometimes publicly, and every time it's made her a little more cautious, a little more silent, a little more guarded, and sometimes she doesn't even fully understand it herself. She'll find reasons not to call, she'll guess sending that message, she'll tell herself you're probably not that into her, even if you are. Why? Because her internal defense mechanism is trying to shield her from a repeat of that pain. Even if it costs her something beautiful, she'd rather not feel that sting again. She's protecting herself, not from you, but from the possibility that history might repeat itself, so she stays quiet. She'll smile when you talk, laugh at your jokes, maybe even go out of her way to be near you, but she won't say what she's really feeling, because in her world, words make it real, and once it's real, it can be rejected. And rejection to her doesn't just feel like he's not interested, it feels like I wasn't enough, that's the wound she carries, that's the weight behind her silence. Not a lack of affection, not a lack of desire, but a fear that letting you see how much she cares might open a door she's not ready to walk through unless she knows you'll be there on the other side. Rejection, for a woman, isn't just about hearing the word no. It's not just about a failed conversation or a missed opportunity. It's deeper. It cuts into how she sees herself, how she defines her worth, how she processes her place in someone's life. When she wants you but doesn't say it, one of the biggest things holding her back is the quiet, persistent fear of being rejected, and not just in the moment, but in a way that stays with her long after you forget it even happened. Society often makes it seem like rejection is a man's battle, that men take the risks, shoot their shot, face the no's, and move on, but women feel it too. And sometimes they feel it more deeply because the way they've been conditioned, rejection is not just about the other person's decision. It becomes a mirror held up to who she is. If she takes the step to express her feelings and it's not received the way she hoped, she doesn't just think, he wasn't interested, she thinks, maybe I wasn't good enough, that kind of internal dialogue doesn't just vanish. It lingers, it echoes, it makes her second. Guess herself the next time she even thinks about opening up. Now imagine she's done it before. Imagine she's been brave enough to put her heart on the table, only to be dismissed, ghosted, laughed at, or told she misread the signs. That sting doesn't fade quickly. It teaches her to play it safe. It teaches her to wait for the other person to make the first move, because then the rejection isn't on her. She didn't put herself out there, so there's nothing to take personally. That fear of rejection isn't about ego, it's about emotional safety. It's about not wanting to risk her self-esteem just to satisfy her curiosity about where you stand, even when a woman is confident, when she knows her value, when she carries herself like a queen. She still feels the weight of rejection differently. She still questions whether she came off too strong, too eager, too available. And because women are often judged for being too much or too little, too loud, too quiet, too aggressive, too passive, she tiptoes in the middle, waiting for clarity before she makes a move. It's not that she doesn't want you. It's not that she doesn't care. It's that the emotional cost of a no feels higher for her than it might for someone else. She replays things. She analyzes the silence. She wonders if she should have waited longer, dressed differently, said less, said more. So instead of expressing her feelings, she hides them in glances, in small gestures, in subtle actions she hopes you'll notice. She'll respond quickly to your messages. She'll remember the little details you mentioned. She'll be there for you. But she won't say it. Not unless she's absolutely sure you won't reject her. Because that one word, that one moment, has the power to shift how she sees herself. And she's not ready to risk that unless she feels undeniably safe. There's something most people overlook when they wonder why a woman won't just come out and say how she feels. She's afraid of being misunderstood, not just in the words she says, but in how those words will be received, twisted, or assumed to mean something else entirely. Because for her, expressing interest isn't always just about telling the truth. It's about risking being misjudged in the process. She might want you deeply, think about you constantly, and still choose to remain silent. Not because she doesn't feel anything, but because she knows how easily feelings get misread, especially when they come from a woman who dares to speak first. She's watched it happen to others, watched women get labeled as too forward, too eager, or doing too much, just for saying what they felt, and she's not trying to fall into that trap. She knows how quickly affection can be mistaken for desperation, how quickly interest can be mistaken for neediness. She's worked hard to hold her image together, to be seen as composed, independent, and in control. The moment she puts her feelings on the table, she risks all of that being stripped away by someone who interprets her vulnerability as weakness instead of strength. So instead, she chooses careful silence over bold honesty. She may sit across from you, smiling, nodding, leaning in just a little bit closer. You might think it's just a friendly gesture, but to her, it's already a risk. She's offering pieces of herself in subtle ways, responding quickly, remembering the little things, showing up in small moments. But she's measuring your responses, checking your tone, watching your expressions, looking for any sign that you might not feel the same, because if you don't, she knows how fast the narrative could flip. Suddenly, she's chasing, she's doing too much, she's just another girl catching feelings, and that's exactly what she's trying to avoid. She doesn't want her feelings to be dismissed or taken lightly. She wants you to see the depth behind them. She's not just interested because she's lonely or bored. She's interested because something about you made her stop, pay attention, and feel. But admitting that means stepping into territory where things can get messy, where people might say she caught feelings first, or worse, she was easy. She's protecting herself not just from heartbreak, but from humiliation, from being misunderstood in a way that affects how you or anyone else sees her. So instead of saying how she feels, she holds it in, hoping that you'll notice the care in her actions, the intention behind her presence, the softness in the way she responds to you. Because if she says it and it's not received with the same care, she doesn't just lose the connection, she loses part of her pride, part of her safety, and sometimes even a bit of how she sees herself. When a woman holds back from expressing how she feels, it's often not because the emotions aren't there, it's because she's asking herself if it's really worth her time. Time, for her, is no longer something she gives out freely. She's been in situations where she poured herself into someone, invested her energy, opened her heart, and in the end walked away with nothing but exhaustion and questions. So now she doesn't just feel. She evaluates, she thinks ahead. She counts the cost before she makes a move. Wanting you isn't the issue. What stops her is the possibility that all of this will turn into yet another wasted chapter in a book she's tired of rewriting. She's had the kind of experiences that teach patience through pain, the moments where she was consistent, available, thoughtful, and still got left on read, the ones where she thought something meaningful was building, only for it to fall apart without explanation. So now, even when she senses something real, she keeps her guard up. Not because she doesn't believe in love anymore, but because she knows love without intention is just a slow road to disappointment. She's been burned by potential before. Now she looks for proof. That's why she moves slower. That's why she watches how you respond more than what you say. She's listening to your consistency, not just your compliments. She's paying attention to whether your actions match your words. Because if she lets herself feel deeply and it turns out you were never serious, she's the one who will sit with the aftermath. She'll be the one questioning herself, wondering if she misread the situation, if she missed the red flags, if she gave too much again. So rather than risk that, she hesitates, even when everything in her is screaming to take the chance. There's a weight that comes with emotional investment, especially when she's been through enough to know how quickly things can shift. One day it's good morning texts and laughter, the next it's silence with no explanation. She's not bitter, she's careful, and when she's careful, she becomes distant, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares enough not to repeat the same painful cycles. She's looking for signs that you're serious, that you're intentional, that this isn't just another fleeting connection that leaves her wondering what she did wrong. So she keeps her feelings in check. She won't tell you she thinks about you all the time. She won't let on how much she's paying attention to the way you move, the way you talk to others, the way you respond when she pulls away just a little. Because before she risks giving her time, her peace, and her heart, she needs to know this isn't just another moment that fades when things get real. She needs to know this isn't another investment with no return. When a woman feels something for you, it's not just about attraction or chemistry, it's about control. She wants to believe in what she feels, but she's also afraid of losing herself in the process. Falling for someone means opening up, letting down walls, and allowing someone in, a process that can make her feel vulnerable and exposed. The fear of losing control over her emotions is one of the biggest reasons why she holds back, even when she wants you. She's afraid that if she dives too deep too fast, she might lose her sense of who she is, her independence, or the stability she's worked hard to maintain. For many women, control isn't about being rigid or unemotional. It's about preserving their peace and their identity. They've learned that when emotions take over, it's easy to get lost in the highs and lows, to prioritize someone else's feelings over their own, and to neglect their own needs in the process. So even when her heart is pulling her toward you, her mind is cautioning her to take it slow, to hold on to her boundaries, and to protect herself from becoming overwhelmed. She's seen the stories, either in her own life or around her, where losing control of emotions led to heartbreak, disappointment, or even self-doubt. The moments when love became less about mutual growth and more about dependency. The times when she gave so much of herself that she forgot to ask, "What about me?" So she resists the urge to fully surrender her feelings because she knows how painful it can be, when love turns into loss of self. This fear makes her cautious. She might keep things casual on the surface, staying friendly and warm, but not diving into deep emotional conversations too quickly. She holds back sharing her true feelings or hopes because doing so would mean giving up some control, and she's not ready for that risk. She wants to make sure that if she does let herself fall, it's with someone who respects her boundaries, values her independence, and encourages her to remain whole. Even when she shows interest, she'll do it in measured ways, small gestures, subtle signs, quiet attention, testing the waters to see if it's safe to let go a little more. She's waiting for reassurance that her vulnerability won't be met with disregard or pressure. She's looking for a partner who can handle her complexity, who won't expect her to lose herself in the relationship, but will instead walk beside her, respecting her strength and autonomy. In the end, this fear of losing control isn't about shutting love out. It's about wanting love to be a space where she can grow, not disappear. It's about holding onto herself while building something real with someone else. And until she feels that balance, she'll hold back, even when every part of her wants to lean in. The final barrier that often holds a woman back, even when she wants you, is the fear of hurting herself and others. Love is complicated, and she knows that opening up to someone means there's always a chance of pain, not just for her, but for everyone involved. She carries the weight of that potential heartbreak on her shoulders before she even thinks about speaking her truth. It's not selfishness or coldness, it's a deeply rooted sense of responsibility to herself, to you, and sometimes to the people around her. She's aware that relationships don't exist in a vacuum. They ripple outward and touch other lives, friends, family, even her own sense of self-worth. When she's hesitant to share what she feels, it's often because she's already imagining the consequences if things don't go the way she hopes. What if her honesty disrupts the balance of a friendship? What if it changes the way you see each other? What if her vulnerability opens a door that leads to confusion or regret? She carries all these what-ifs like heavy stones in her chest, and they slow her down more than anything else. This fear is also about protecting her own heart. She knows that once she puts her feelings out there, she can't take them back. The risk of rejection, of being misunderstood, or even of being hurt by someone she cares about is real and raw. She's seen people lose themselves in love, become broken, or lose the respect they had for themselves because they gave too much without enough reciprocation. She doesn't want to be that person. She wants to protect her peace and her dignity, even if it means staying quiet when it hurts. Beyond protecting herself, she's also thinking about how her actions might affect you. She doesn't want to burden you with her feelings if she senses you're not ready or if she's unsure of your intentions. She's trying to read the room, understand the situation, and respect boundaries, not just yours but hers as well. Sometimes that means keeping her distance emotionally to avoid complicating things, especially if she thinks there's a risk of causing pain or disappointment on either side. She's aware of how fragile love can be, how delicate the dance of connection is. Every step forward requires trust, timing, and mutual readiness. When she holds back, it's not because she doesn't want to move forward. It's because she's waiting for the right moment when both hearts can be ready to take the leap together without fear. She knows that rushing into vulnerability too soon can shatter what could be something beautiful and lasting. In the quiet spaces where she keeps her feelings, she's wrestling with these fears, weighing the possibilities, and hoping for the courage to one day share her truth without losing herself or the connections she values. She dreams of a love where openness doesn't mean risk, but rather safety, a place where her heart can be seen, held, and cherished without hesitation. Until then, she holds back, guarding herself against the pain she knows too well. So, if you're watching this and wondering why she's quiet, why she's distant, why she won't just say it, understand this: she's not emotionless, she's not cold, she's protecting a heart that's been bruised, but still wants to believe. Sometimes the strongest women are the ones who have been hurt the most, yet still choose to love silently, so pay attention to the unspoken signs. Because when a woman wants you but fear holds her back, the question isn't why won't she speak? The question is, will you make her feel safe enough to finally say what she's been dying to tell you all along?